Good morning, it's Devora. It's In Story Live. It's Monday morning, and I'm gonna be kind of taking a little bit of a different tack. So I want to start by talking about what I'm gonna be calling soul story moments, and what are those? And today I want to talk about how you can find these soul story turning point powerful moments in your ancient literature of your life, whether that's biblical, which I'm going to talk about today, or whether that's fairy tales or folklore. This is a whole other way of using the power of stories that I am going to be developing for my clients and, sharing with all of my whole community little by little. And there's also something called the story of the story. So why am I telling you this right now? How did it come to be? And this is super important also, because you have to pay attention to what nourishes your soul. What's your style? What leads you? So I'm Jewish. I love the Old Testament, which we call the Torah, and we read it in a certain way. Every week we have what's called the portion of the week. And so I read it in this energetic synergy with my people. And right now we are in the whole sequence of the stories of the Jewish people leaving Egypt and coming towards the land of Israel. It's all a long story. But in that story are extraordinarily powerful turning point moment stories for us. And it's a deep part of how my tradition teaches it and how I live it. So this morning, I went back to look at one of the most powerful turning point moment stories that I come back to over and over, and that is the Jewish people standing at the edge of the Red Sea with the sea in front of them, the Egyptian army behind them, and they are freaked out. And right before they say, okay, Moses, what the heck? Why did you take us out of Egypt? Right? It was horrible, slavery, terrible, the worst of the worst. Why'd you take us out of Egypt where at least we had food to die in the wilderness? They are ready to give up. And in that moment of being ready to give up, the instructions that they get first thing is don't be afraid. Right there. And the very next thing is a word for standing in Hebrew that means stand firm. There's a different Hebrew word for just regular standing. This is stand firm. And when I was writing about this morning, it's stand up for yourself, stand out. It's a deep standing up, standing firm. So first you just stop being afraid, and at some point I'll be going into some deeper teachings on that. And then it says, and then you will see. Moses is speaking to the Jewish people. These are the instructions to them from God. Don't be afraid. Stand firm and see what God is going to do. And then there's a description that what's gonna happen. And then it says, and be silent, which is kind of no more complaining. Watch what's happening. For stop being afraid. Stand firm. Get back in your center, in your power. Stand firm. Watch, see, believe, have faith. Look what's happening, and all kinds of things happen. And eventually, of course, what happens is they go forward, and God says, "Go forward. Don't ask for help anymore. Trust. Go forward." And the sea splits. They go forward on dry land. They come out the other side, and then Miriam, the prophetess, she leads the women dancing, and they're holding their tambourines. And I heard a beautiful teaching. How is it they have tambourines? And one of the teachings is that the women had this clarity of confidence and faith that they made tambourines and took them with them because they knew they would be dancing, that they would be celebrating, they would be successful, they would have joy. So there's this sequence of, and this is the sequence of the individual as you're growing forward, and it begins by being aware of that Egyptian slavery, that really down, terrible, terrible place. And one of the beautiful, beautiful teachings that helped me many years ago, when I was in much lower places than I am right now, and I'll talk about this more, and that is that that God takes them out of Egypt because he loves them, because of love, not because they were so good or so perfect or made such a perfect effort. All they had to do was call out, God, help me, they just had to pray. They just had to call out with their heart, to yearn to be free, to be out of the limiting beliefs. The word Egypt in Hebrew, Mitzrayim, comes from for narrow, tight, constricted. And so that's where you're calling out to be released. And that's the whole story of leaving Egypt. And then going through the splitting of the sea, coming out the other side, dancing. And then the story flips. And I'll be going into this more, but it flips to what paradigm you're in. And then you can switch to being in the Moses paradigm. And then you can have a burning bush moment. So this kind of come to me this morning. And one thing you should know, if you watch these early morning, not so early, but my morning Facebook Lives, is you will often, if you're paying attention, you will get a kind of energetic spark to your day, because I bring to you what's come down this day. So tune in to these deep, ancient turning point moments and ask yourself, where are you? What moment are you in? And start at least with, call out to God, leave Egypt, don't be afraid, stand firm, and see the opening in front of you, and go forward and come out dancing. This is my prayer for you, and my blessing to you, that we should see these openings before us, and to take a moment to sit still and feel deeply, what does it mean to not be afraid, to stand firm, to see the hand of God in your life, to move forward through the opening before you, and to come out dancing. And that's the beginning of shifting into a higher level of leadership. So it's exciting. We're being called forward. This is the power of paying attention and looking for, what are your soul story moments. All right, I would love to hear what you think about this. Did it touch you? Did it guide you? Does it resonate for you? Are you aware of your soul story moments? Where will you look for them? And as always, remember to go out in the world, share your story, live your purpose, and be a blessing. Bye, folks.